Hi, Jackie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Let me,
Okay, let me know when I can try to do the screen share.
okay.
I like your background.
Thank you. My husband, he does backgrounds.
Nice.
You want me to do, what do you want me to enable?
Screen sharing for me.
Let me see if I know how to do that. Do you know how to do it?
No, I just hit, I'm not the host, so I probably have a different view than you do. I just hit share screen and it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
I want to fix that. Oh, here, share screen. I got it. Okay, 1 second. Multiple participants. It should work now.
All right, let me try. Allow Zoom to share. Okay, I have to log out and log back in to enable screen sharing. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, let me try one more time.
Okay.
Okay, what's going on right now? What can you see?
Questions or comments? Yeah, I see your PowerPoint.
Wait, hold on. So does this, hold on, what did I just do? That's fine. Does this work?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the presentation in full screen.
yeah. Yeah, it's one sheet at a time.
Okay. Should I leave it on right now or exit and then come back?
You can leave it. So you don't have to do it all over again.
Am I going to be able to see the participants? Okay. Cool. All right. How was your day?
My day, busy, good and busy. The kids are no camp, no school. So today was mommy camp day. And it was good. It's just it's like that, that transition time between camp and school. So we do what we can.
When are they going back to school? After Labor Day?
No, everyone's starting before Labor Day this year because Rosh Hashanah is Labor Day, is the day after Labor Day. So the schools want the kids to learn a little bit before the high holidays. Everyone's starting a different day. So two of my daughters are still away for the summer. One's coming home tomorrow night and the other one is coming home next week. One son is actually in school already, but the other one is not. And the little ones are starting, one's starting next week and all the other girls are starting in 2 weeks, or 2.5 weeks. Yeah, we have like kids coming in and out all month. So it's fun.
Nice.
How has your summer been going since we last spoke?
I feel like I haven't really had a summer. It just like flew by.
Yeah.
I've been sitting in this office all summer.
By the way, Mazel Tov for Inessa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop sharing now. Be better when I stop sharing.
How's Rumi?
It's good. Keith took her to the park. I needed her out for the time.
Yeah, she's fun.
She's a handful.
Yeah, she's like a 2-year-old, right?
Forever 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Now we have
Awesome.
some more participants.
Yeah. There's my favorite Roslyn. Roslyn's logging in under different names under all of her devices.
Is this the same person?
Yes, Roslyn, you're muted. We can't hear you, but you're hysterical.
It's me. Whoa.
Nah.
And I have to unmute myself. I have to look.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, I left that meeting. Yeah, I'm logging in. I wanted my husband to be on one of them, but I don't think it's gonna happen. It's okay.
I will maybe use some notes for your husband.
Oh, we're recording it, so we'll send out the link for people who request it.
Okay, cool.
Publicize
Yeah,
it, but
I hope I could put the kids to sleep earlier after this,
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep our expectations reasonable and manageable.
Sounds good.
How are your daughters enjoying the summer?
Good. They're in Ruach, Hank camp, but they brought home a lot of colds and viruses and all of this other. I love your background, by the way, and I love the CQJCC.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Thank
It's very
you.
nice, very professional.
Thank you. I'll send yeah, my husband did that, so I'll tell him that it was noticed and appreciated.
Very nice, very nice. So tomorrow is the last day of camp. So I don't know what we're going to be doing the next 2 weeks, getting ready for school. Let's see. They opened Legoland upstate, so maybe go there.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're looking good. Are you feeling well?
I'm feeling good. Thank God. Baruch Hashem.
Good stuff.
Good.
All right. Well, glad to hear that. And it's good
I
to see
sent
your
the link
face.
to a bunch of people. I don't know if they're gonna join, but there's I sent it to a lot of people. There's no limit on this, right? In terms of
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I don't know who's gonna join, but I sent it to a group where there's like 40 people. Some are showing interest. We'll see.
Nice. Thank you.
So good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm getting some messages, but it's scary to publicize links before, because like sometimes people like, can really bomb Zoom calls.
Right.
So it's annoying. And also this way it helps people to get it helps us get a sense of who's planning on coming. Whatever. So, but this is good. We definitely sent it out to a bunch of people, so hopefully.
Go over there. Go watch TV. Go watch Blippi. Okay, eat that and go watch Blippi.
You said I saved half for you.
Oh, okay. You saved half for me. This is for me. This is my half.
Because you said I saved half for you.
Oh, okay. You're right, baby. Go away. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you so much.
Yes.
She's a good girl, but I guess I'm giving her chocolate at like 7 o'clock. So it's all good.
You're a nice mommy.
Just once a day. Before bedtime, the best time to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome. So this is good. What are we doing here? We have, I'm working on finishing up a newsletter that's gonna go out before Rosh Hashanah. It's gonna be really nice. I'm gonna post it before it goes out for people to comment, but it's like 80% done. So it's really cool. Looking
Nice.
forward to that. And in there, I have a listing of, I think, 3 or 4 webinars that are scheduled for October, November. It's gonna be really, we're gonna be busy, good busy. So I'm looking forward to sharing that information soon when it's a little bit more presentable.
Cool.
It'll be good. We have a nice little group joining for you, Jackie. It's 7:31 p.m.
Yes.
People are prompt. And
Try wait to give it another like 4 minutes until
Yeah.
35. Just give some
yes,
people a chance to log on.
yes. And we welcome all those who have joined so far. And we are planning to start in the next 3 minutes or so. So we appreciate you joining so far.
Yes.
Mom, did you eat
Thanks.
it?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat it. Go over there.
I really wanted to eat the whole thing.
Okay.
Eat the whole
Okay, baby.
thing.
How many RSVPs did we have?
I could go back and check.
More than 4.
Yeah.
Here we have someone else joining.
1, 2, 3. I got 3 yesterday from just random numbers. And then 4, yeah, about 10.
Okay.
I think so.
Alrighty. I'll give it another few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, it's 7:35 right now. Okay, Jackie, should we start or should we wait another minute?
What do you think?
Huh?
What do you think?
It's 7:35. I do want to be mindful of those who joined and
All right, sounds good.
give you the time that you may need. So,
We'll get started.
okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Ingham. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I work as a therapist at the Center for Wise Mind Living, which is a private practice in Manhattan. I also have several years of experience working in a community clinic in Forest Hills. I work with children, adolescents, and adults who are experiencing difficulties with different diagnoses, anywhere from anxiety, depression, PTSD, chronic illness, relationship problems. I use different treatment modalities: cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic approach, and dialectical behavioral therapy, which is also known as DBT. Today, we will actually be talking about different DBT skills and how they can be helpful and useful when it comes to parenting. All right, so I'm going to get started. Let me just share my screen. Meshki, did you want to say something before I start my presentation?
I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to do this. This is a very important topic. And I also would like to welcome our guests who are joining us today. And I just want to say for a second about our organization, CQJCC, which is Central Queens Jewish Community Circle. And we are a new organization. We started about 2 years ago. And we are, the work that we try to do focuses on the greater needs of the Jewish community in terms of emotional and spiritual wellness, looking out for our vulnerable neighbors with need. We give out holiday gift packages. We are focusing on doing these webinars on various topics on wellness and on emotional and spiritual wellness. And I thank our board members and friends who have publicized and the webinars and who are continuously supporting in our work that we do. We are planning on giving out for Rosh Hashanah. We have gift packages that we're going to be packing up and distributing soon for Rosh Hashanah, which is in about 3 weeks. And we also have a newsletter coming out also for the high holidays that will focus on our upcoming work. So if you can follow us on Facebook or see our website, or if you want to join us on WhatsApp or email, we're happy to stay in touch. We don't have, since we are new, we don't have a lot going on yet, but what we do is impactful and important, and the feedback that we get is really wonderful. And so I thank Jackie as a dear friend and as a board member who wants to share her wisdom with us in helping us to know, as parents and as friends, what can we do? What is DBT and how can it be helpful? For those of us who are familiar or not familiar, I'm sure we'll all learn something. And I thank you, Jackie, again, for your time and expertise. So without further ado, please, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna get started then. Let me just share my screen and pull up the presentation. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay. All right, so as I mentioned before, we will be discussing and focusing on DBT skills, dialectical behavioral therapy, in regards to parenting. Okay, here we go. So the objective of today's workshop is to learn about mindful parenting, ways of balancing acceptance and change, validation, what is validation, and how do we validate, ways to decrease unwanted behaviors, and distress tolerance skills or crisis survival skills. So I want to ask everyone to, if you could take out a piece of paper and either a pen or a paper, or a pen or a pencil, I'm sorry. And I want to do a little exercise with you. So I'll give you a minute to grab a pen and a paper. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is write down your name on a piece of paper very slowly. And while you're doing that, I want you to pay attention to how are you holding the pencil? How much pressure are you using while you're writing your name? And do you use all of your fingers to write? So those are the three things. While you're writing your name down slowly, focus on how are you holding your pencil? How much pressure are you using? And are you using all of your fingers to write? I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Okay. So just as a side note, I forgot to say this earlier. This is an interactive workshop, so please feel free to speak out. If you have any questions, comments, anything that you'd like to say, you can just interrupt me and I'll address it. Okay, so while you were doing this, how did it feel? What did you notice? What did you learn? And did you recognize something that you did not expect? Would anyone like to share?
I'll start. I noticed that when I was paying attention, I wrote with less pressure than I normally would. I was also mindful to make sure that my letters are more even than I would if I would write mindlessly. And I also was holding the pen with all of my fingers holding on, as opposed to normally I would just do it with a few of the fingers, but here I was being much more deliberate, and so I was holding them with all of my fingers.
Okay. Thank you, Mishki. 1 second. How do I go back to the previous slide? Here we go. Okay. That was great. So you were being mindful while you were writing your name, which is the purpose of the exercise. So this is an example of a mindfulness exercise. Practicing mindfulness exercises helps you learn to observe interactions and slow down responses, giving you time to find an effective response. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the act of consciously focusing the mind in the present moment without judgment. So mindfulness is one strategy that can reduce the stress of being a parent. It is a way of being. Practicing mindfulness means paying attention to what's happening in the moment and accepting those experiences and feelings without judgment. So there is something called mindful parenting, which is bringing the principles of mindfulness into parenting. According to Marsha Linehan, who is the founder of dialectical behavioral therapy, her definition of mindfulness is that mindfulness is a way of living awake with your eyes wide open. So a person has 3 states of mind. We have our emotion mind, reasonable mind, and then we have wise mind. Emotion mind are when thoughts and actions are controlled by our emotions. So basically when your emotions consume you. Reasonable mind is when a person plans and evaluates logically and thinks things through. So it's just the facts kind of thinking. And then we have something called wise mind. Wise mind is just the right amount of emotion mind and reasonable mind. It's being able to see the whole picture clearly. Adolescents are driven by what they feel they need in emotion mind. They might mask their emotions in reasonable mind. They might think about the most effective way to handle a situation in wise mind. Parents react in emotion mind. They lecture or give explanations in reasonable mind, and they respond in Wise Mind. When it comes to mindfulness, what are we doing when we're being mindful, and how do we be mindful? Mindfulness skills are a means of achieving wise mind and wise actions, which is the goal. What skills? What are we doing when we're being mindful? We're observing, we're describing, and we're participating. How are we doing this? Non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. So I'm going to go over the what and how skills right now. So observe is the first what skill. When we observe, we notice the experience, practice wordless watching, and let thoughts come in and go out like a Teflon mind. We don't rush to describe or act on the experience. So one way to think about observing is to think about what we do when we go to an aquarium and watch fish in a large tank. We tend to notice what swims in front of us, the features, colors, shapes, sizes of the fish, and maybe the trajectory of their swimming path. As the experience changes moment to moment, we attend to it, but we don't create or control the experience. We're observing. Next is describe. Put words on the experience, put experiences into words. Label the experience, but do not judge. So no interpretations, just the facts. For example, instead of you have an attitude, you could describe your child as rolling his eyes or speaking with a loud voice. The third what skill is participate. How do we participate? With attention, throw oneself totally into something. So experience even negative emotions fully to help your wise mind make a decision about what to do instead of acting impulsively. So that is what we're doing. We're observing, we're describing, and we're participating when we're being mindful. How do we do these things? 1, non-judgmentally. See, but don't evaluate. Unglue opinions from the facts. So notice, but don't evaluate what you're noticing as good or bad. Stick to observable facts using only what you observed. There will be many moments when you judge your child or yourself harshly. Why do we have to have a battle every time? Put on a jacket, eat your vegetables, ride in the car seat. And then we start to judge ourselves. Why did I yell when I know that does absolutely no good ever? You can't go through life without making judgments. That's unrealistic. Your goal is to catch and replace them with descriptions so that you have more control over your emotions. Lastly, actually, hold on. I'm going to give you an example of non-judgmentally. So you can acknowledge the harmful and the helpful, but don't judge it. So you can replace he's a jerk with he walked away while we were talking. And then lastly, for the house skill, we have effectively. Focus on what works, what helps you reach your goals. So actually, I'm sorry, I skipped one mindfully. Do one thing at a time, let go of distractions and concentrate your mind. So focus your attention only on one thing in this moment, slow yourself down to accomplish it. And then the last one, effectively. Focus on what works, what helps you reach your goals. Don't let emotions control your behavior. Cut the cord between feeling and doing, and let go of negative feelings that can hurt you and make things worse. Non-judgmental language, what does that look like? So non-judgmental language describes the situation in front of you so that someone else can see it the same way you do. You can only describe what you can observe. No one has ever observed someone else's interpretations, thoughts, feelings, causes, reasons, meanings. Judgments are often shorthand for stating consequences. Giving up judgments does not mean denying consequences. So non-judgmental language does look at the consequence of the behavior. So for example, when you act that way, I feel sad. If you behave that way, you may be suspended. If you do not change your behavior, you may not get what you want or meet your goals. Non-judgmental language separates the effect of the behavior from its assumed intent. So regardless of how the observer, which is you as the parent, feels because of the behavior, assumptions cannot be made about the intention of that behavior. Next, we have balancing acceptance and change. In DBT, we balance two truths. You can accept an individual as they are in the moment and expect them to change. It's important to accept and tolerate painful feelings. Acceptance is key and necessary for any kind of change. This is true for parents as well for the adolescent. And acceptance, parents often feel that if they accept, they're giving up hope, which is not the case, right? So for balancing two truths, it's important to avoid all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking is it's a thinking mistake, also known as a cognitive distortion. It's basically when you think very black and white or all or nothing. There is no gray area, no middle ground. So in balanced thinking, it's important to look at things not in an all or nothing way, but to know that there is hope once you accept. So we have acceptance and we have hope. We have independence, but also assistance. We have choices, but also limits. We have giving in and choosing priorities. And then we have firmness, distinguishing between whether we're going to be firm or gentle. Validation. Validation means letting your child know that you're listening, you understand how they feel, you're taking them seriously, you are understanding of their behavior within the context of their life circumstances, and that you're accepting of them. Validation does not mean that you agree or that you like what your child is doing, feeling, or saying. Validation is communicating empathy and acceptance. How do we validate our children? Communicating that you are listening and not judging or blaming. Acknowledging emotions and how hard it is to regulate emotions sometimes. Acknowledging how difficult it is to fit in. And accepting that your child is doing the best that they can given the circumstances. When kids feel validated, they will be better able to receive feedback and change their own behaviors. What are some examples of validating versus invalidating behaviors? So validating behaviors, paying attention to your child, normalizing their feelings and behaviors, practicing compassion, acceptance, and non-judgment. What are some invalidating behaviors? Not paying attention, being distracted, telling your child what he or she does feel or should feel, criticizing what your child thinks or feels. Those are invalidating behaviors. So the number one question that all parents want to know, how do we eliminate behaviors that we don't like? So there are two different ways, and I'm going to go into these two different terms, extinction and punishment. So extinction reduces a behavior by withholding previous reinforcement. When attention is reinforcing, ignore the unwanted behavior. Make sure you reinforce a desirable replacement behavior. So if a parent ignores a child tantrum, the child will eventually stop tantruming. Beware of the behavioral burst, which is normal. It's a temporary increase in the behavior you're trying to extinguish. And beware of intermittent reinforcement. Behavior that is reinforced only occasionally is the hardest behavior to extinguish. So for example, never give candy to stop a tantrum after you've ignored episodes. Then we have punishment. Punishment is a consequence that results in a decrease in behavior. So it tells another person what you don't want him or her to do. It's important to use punishment sparingly because punishment does not teach new behavior. Punishment can lead to resentment and feeling of demoralization. And punishment may lead to self-punishment, which a lot of teens do. So to use punishment effectively, first you have to reinforce the desired behavior to prevent undesired ones. So for example, expressing anger calmly without screaming or slamming things, spending time with a parent, getting places on time, coming to parent with a problem rather than waiting until it gets better, hard work, right? Reinforcing the desired behavior. Then communicate clear rules and expectations. Have a menu of possible punishments ready in advance. Pair a negative consequence with reinforcement of a desired behavior. Be specific, time limited, and make the punishment fit the crime. So for example, if you're out past curfew 1 hour, your curfew is 1 hour earlier next time. Ask yourself, is wise mind dictating the consequence? Are you in wise mind when you're dictating the consequence? Apply the punishing consequence immediately, which is super important, or allow natural consequences. So for example, you failed the test because you stayed up all night and you were too tired to focus in school. That would be an example of a natural consequence. Adolescence and emotion dysregulation. Mood-dependent behaviors. So driven by a desire to escape or avoid painful emotions that might include. So some examples of mood-dependent behaviors that adolescents present with are self-harm, suicidality, aggression, eating disorders, substance abuse, risky behaviors, including sexual behavior, delinquent behaviors, including stealing from parents, shoplifting, school refusal, or anxiety. How do we help regulate these emotions? With distress tolerance skills. So there are different types of distress tolerance skills. I'm going to go into detail about these 5 different skills. One is distract with wise mind accepts. Another one is self-soothe with 6 senses. The third one is improve the moment. The fourth one is pros and cons. And then there's tip. So I'm going to go over each one of these right now. Wise mind accepts. Distract with wise mind accepts. So accepts is an acronym that stands for activities, contributing, comparisons, emotions, pushing away, thoughts, and sensations. So activities, do something to distract yourself. Contributing, contribute to or do something nice for someone. Comparisons, compare yourself to those less fortunate. This is a controversial one, comparisons, because a lot of people think that we shouldn't compare. It's not good to compare, right? In some instances, it helps. So if it's going to help in that moment, when your child is in a crisis, compare. Emotions, create different emotions by watching something funny, listening to music, pushing away, push the painful situation out of your mind temporarily. Move your attention and thoughts. Thoughts, replace your thoughts, read, count numbers. And lastly, sensations, intensify other sensations, hold or chew ice, listen to loud music, take a warm or cold shower. The next distress tolerance skill that we have is self-soothe with your 6 senses. So vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and movement. Vision, go to your favorite place. Hearing, listen to your favorite music. Smell, put on your favorite lotion or go to the park and smell the roses. Taste, eat some of your favorite foods. Touch, take a long bath or shower. Or movement, rock yourself gently, stretch, or go for a run. These are some self-soothing skills. Then we have improve the moment. Improve is also an acronym, which stands for imagery, meaning, prayer, relaxation, one thing in the moment, vacation, and encouragement. So imagery. Imagine very relaxing scenes of a calming, safe place. Meaning, find or create some purpose, meaning, or value in pain. Make lemonade out of lemons. Prayer, open your heart to a supreme being, a greater wisdom, or your own wise mind. Relaxation, try to relax your muscles by tensing and relaxing each large muscle group. You can start from the feet, go up to the calves, your thighs, your pelvis, your stomach, your chest, your face, your arms. Do one thing at a time, one thing in the moment. So focus your entire attention on what you're doing right now. Vacation, give yourself a brief vacation, take a walk, get your favorite coffee or smoothie. And encouragement, cheerlead yourself, repeat over and over, I can stand it. It won't last forever. I will make it out of this, and I'm doing the best that I can. Then next we have pros and cons. So making a pros and cons list of acting versus resisting. So we have acting versus resisting on urges. So pros of acting on impulsive urges versus cons of acting on impulsive urges. Pros of resisting impulsive urges versus cons of resisting impulsive urges. By the time you make the pros and cons list, more times than not, that impulsive urge will have subsided greatly. And tips skills for managing extreme emotions. This is one of the distress tolerance skills. When emotional arousal is very high, you're completely caught in emotion mind. You can't think with logic and you can't think with wise mind. Your brain is not processing information. You are emotionally overwhelmed. So what you can do is tip your body chemistry to reduce extreme emotion mind quickly. So TIP is also an acronym that stands for temperature, intense exercise, paced breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation. So temperature, you could put an ice pack on your face, on your forehead or on your cheeks, or put some cold, splash some cold water on your face. Intense exercise, do 20 jumping jacks really quickly or go for a run. Paced breathing, you can, so when we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. The breath out is always longer than the breath in. And you can, so pace your breathing. Start from 10, breathe in, breathe out. Then you can go to 9, breathe in, breathe out, 8, and so forth. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe in between. That's paced breathing. Then there's progressive muscle relaxation, which I had explained to you, using your muscle groups, tense your muscles, and release. Taking charge of your emotions, why bother? So adolescents often have intense emotions that are difficult to manage, such as anger, shame, depression, or anxiety. Difficulties controlling these emotions often lead to problematic behaviors that affect you and those around you. Problematic behaviors are often ineffective solutions to intensely painful emotions. Emotion regulation. How do we regulate emotions? The goal of emotion regulation is to reduce suffering, not get rid of emotions. In order to manage emotions more effectively, one needs to be able to observe, understand, and express those emotions. Parents' effectiveness depends on being mindful of when they are vulnerable and when their child is vulnerable, what triggers them and what triggers their child, how parent and child each interpret events, when body and nonverbal cues are signaling that their child is in distress, and using wise mind to respond to triggers from your child. Okay, so now to sum up what we have learned today, I'm going to just go over main takeaway points. So practicing mindfulness exercises helps you learn to observe interactions and slow down responses, giving you the time to find an effective response. Mindfulness skills are a means of achieving wise mind and wise actions, which is our goal, to think in wise mind. Do not judge, instead use descriptive language. Acceptance is key and necessary for any kind of change. Validation. Validation is important. It's communicating empathy and acceptance. Use punishments effectively. And then we have distress tolerance skills. Distract with wise mind accept. So we have activities, contributing, comparisons, emotions, pushing away, thoughts, sensations. Self-soothe with 6 senses, vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, movement. improve the moment, imagery, meaning, prayer, relaxation, one thing in the moment, vacation, encouragement, pros and cons, make a list of acting versus resisting on the urge, and tip, temperature, intense exercise, paced breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and leave the floor open for any questions or comments anyone may have.
If anybody wants to unmute, you can unmute yourself and you can ask a question or make a comment. Brenda wants to know about a printout of that. Do you have a printout of the presentation?
I can forward it to you,
Okay.
and then you can send it to Brenda.
Yes, Brenda, I have your email and I'll be happy to send that to you. Not a problem. If anyone else would like it, if I have your email, I guess I'll be able to send it. No problem. Happy to share. This is also being recorded. So if anybody would like to have a recording of it, we will share it as requested. I'm not going to publicize the link, but if people want to request the link, that's fine. We'll be happy to share. Yes, we will go through. Milana, I got yours.
Hi.
I also just want to say that, so Jackie, what I'm hearing from these different tips is that there's many different angles and there's many different tricks in a way that we would have. But as human beings, we were created with the ability to make choices. And we were given the opportunity to be in control of ourselves, even when we feel like we're not in control of our situation or how we react. So like, for example, a little kid will say, you made me angry, or you made me want to hit you. But as we grow up, we can understand that no one makes you do anything. You may find yourself wanting to react in a certain way based on feelings that you have, but no one is making you do anything. You are conditioned yourself to react a certain way to certain things. And when we stop, like you're saying, to give a time for effective response and to think about the feelings, it's not about taking away bad feelings, because bad feelings are a part of life. It's about what we do about it and how it impacts our life so that we can continue living well. And I think that's a beautiful message that, you know, that we have, that we are in control. Even when we're not in control, we can choose to be a wreck, and that's okay, right? We can say, like, I'm really angry right now, or I'm really sad, or I'm really disappointed, and I don't know what to do, and I feel angry, or I feel disappointed, and I feel like screaming. So those feelings can be real, but then we go through the steps. We say, okay, stop. I don't need to deal with this right now. I don't need to react. I can go take a walk. I can go distract myself. I can go smell something nice. I am fully in control about how this is going to look, even if it's not perfect and even if it's not pretty. And feeling negative thoughts or thinking negative thoughts is totally fine, right?
1000%. We don't want to invalidate our feelings or our child's feelings, right? We want to acknowledge them. And, you know, to your point, there's a difference between pain and suffering.
Right.
Pain is a part of life, right? So, for example, say I'm making a salad and I cut my finger with the knife by accident, right? It was an accident. I didn't do it intentionally. So I'm bleeding. It's very painful. I go and clean up the wound. I put a Band-Aid on it. Eventually this wound is going to heal.
Right.
But what happens if I don't clean up the wound and I continue picking at it and picking at it? That wound is never going to heal. And so what I'm doing is I'm turning my pain into suffering. We choose suffering. We don't have any control over pain and difficult emotions, right? But we choose how we handle those difficult situations and difficult circumstances in life.
Rosalind, you want to say something? You want to unmute?
Unmute. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my question, first of all, I love the analogy just now with the wound and picking at the wound. I think that's a great analogy. My question is something that you mentioned earlier about extinction and tantrums. So what if your child never stops the tantrum, even if you ignore the tantrum? I mean, we're talking like, 45 minutes, an hour into the tantrum, and it's just not stopping. Like, I mean, you just continue to ignore. At what point do you say, okay, enough already? It's doing more bad than good, ignoring the tantrum. That's my question.
I don't know if so. Ignoring a tantrum for that long, I don't know. I think it would do more harm than good. I think it's important to look at like what's going on for the child. Why are they having a tantrum in that moment? And how can you teach your child to self-soothe, to soothe themselves, so that they learn how to regulate emotions when they don't get something that they want.
Okay, so I have one of my children. The other one is not this way, but is very emotional and needs me to quote, and it's from her, make her feel better. So making her feel better means she wants me to come over, give her a hug, blah, 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 all of that stuff, which, okay, I can do that. But I mean, is this something that she's going to grow out of? Is this, I don't want, again, like, I mean, we're talking like almost 6 years old at this point, is this something that I need to be concerned about? Is this something that I need to try to fix?
What is she doing when she's having a tantrum? Is she like crying? Is she hitting? Is she?
Everything. I mean, hitting, not as much anymore. That stopped, I think. When she hurt me once really badly and I was crying, but it's okay. And then, so hitting, not anymore. But usually just,
Why do you have the iPad? That's
okay,
mine.
it's okay. It's okay. Usually just screaming, yelling, crying.
Is this tantrum in response to your child not getting what they want?
Yeah.
Okay. You made like they don't get something that they want. Is that just out of the blue you're saying no, or is this something that they know that they can't have and are asking for anyway, and then throw a tantrum?
It could be both. It could be both.
It's important do you have a set of house rules, expectations, consequences, punishments for tantrums, right? You can ignore it for so long, but if it's not working, then what are the consequences, or are there any punishments for acting that way?
So, I mean, didn't we also say that punishment is not a good thing as also? Or maybe I took it the wrong way.
So punishment is not a good thing when you're constantly just throwing it out, but then not following up with the consequences. Like say, you're not gonna have TV for the rest of the week, and then tomorrow morning they're watching TV.
Right.
So when you're punishing, it's important to stick to the punishment so that it's not going to happen every time, because eventually they're going to learn that you're sticking to what you're saying.
Okay.
Consequences to your behaviors and actions.
Right. I think what you're saying is that by having a routine or by having something predictable, the likelihood of there being a tantrum is less. Like if everyone knows the rule that we don't have ice cream on a weekday after supper, then they can ask, and you could say, yeah, that would sound nice, but we decided, mommy and daddy or whoever decided that we're not having ice cream on a weekday night. We only have it on the weekends. And then you could say, come, let's pick a flavor that we'll have this weekend, right? So we had when one of our children were young, they also did not know how to self-soothe, and they would cry for a long, long time. And
I think that
we,
with skills is important.
yes, and what we found is that distracting was really the only way. It's like, listen, you can be sad about this. That's fine. I'm not gonna like tell you you can't be sad, and you could even cry if you want. That's okay. You know, if I asked my mommy for, ice cream by bedtime and she said no, I also would cry. You know, we would say things like that. It's okay. If you want to cry, you can cry. We have our reasons, and when you grow up and you're a mommy, you can choose to give your kids ice cream by bedtime if you'd like. But in our house, we don't do that because we decided that ice cream by bedtime is a bad idea. And then we say, would you like us to read you a book? And then, they blah, 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 but then they get over it. So most times tantrums are, I think they're from the unexpected, like the unknowns. So that's my experience, in terms of being sad, it's fine to be sad. But not, and also the other thing that she said is like, mommy, I need you to make me feel better. It's like, I can hug you, but you can choose to help yourself feel better when I hug you. So you want to empower her.
Right.
You want to empower her that you can hug her, but you're not making her better. She is choosing your hug to make herself feel better.
How to use the distress tolerance skills that I provided. If she's having trouble with regulating her own emotions, teach her some of them. Imagery, meaning, prayer, relaxation, right? You can try to improve the moment. You can try to accept the moment.
There's this app. It's called the Calm app.
Yeah.
So I started like playing music from there and it was helpful, to some extent. Sometimes it's not help. Even that doesn't help. It just makes her even more angry, and I try to do something else. Again, I'm hoping that she grows out of this. I wasn't like that when I was a child. I don't know where it's from.
It wouldn't hurt to speak with a therapist to like get an evaluation to see if there is something else going on and why your child is, if you think that it's not normal behavior.
It happens rarely, but I mean, there's always a reason. It's just not a good enough reason, I think. To me, it's not a good enough reason to throw this type of big tantrum. I guess.
Whether it's good or not, he or she is expressing their emotions, right? And how they're feeling, how they're not satisfied with the current moment.
Right.
So talking, communicating, validating their feelings, and then helping them with some skills to regulate those emotions so they don't feel that the world is coming to an end.
Understood. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to chime in. Jackie, do you have any books that maybe parents can read to have a better understanding of this more in depth? This is very informative and the notes are very helpful. But do you know of any other user-friendly parents?
Not off the top of my head, but I can certainly look into a few resources and pass them along to you to give to
Okay.
the participants.
I think that's maybe helpful because sometimes you hear something and you want to be able to have a manual a little bit more of how to or what does that look like or how to break it down. It maybe if there's a website or if there's something a little bit more. Also, this is very helpful and I'm very much appreciative of this, and I know that other people are as well. So who is your favorite author or scholar in this field?
In this field?
Yeah.
Is
there somebody that writes about this stuff?
Marsha Linehan, she's the creator of dialectical behavioral therapy. She's the one that, I have a manual that I use for my clients, but she invented DBT, and I think DBT is very useful. Also,
what What does D stand for? Dialectical?
Behavioral therapy,
What does dialectical mean?
communicating, expressing.
Communicate. Okay, so it's really about words. It's about words that you say to yourself or to others.
Yeah.
To
It's about how to have control over our minds and not let our minds control us.
you know, that's such a deep concept in Hasidus, in the Hasidic thought. We have this concept called the mind should rule the heart, and this is a foundational teaching of the book of the Tanya that was written about 300 years ago, and that talks about how our heart is logic, and our heart is emotion, and our mind is logic, and how we need both, but ultimately we need to go with our mind, because our mind is once we especially once we know what the right thing to do is. That's why it's so important to like learn Torah, for example, because if we're interested in doing the right thing according to the Torah, then when we know the Torah, then we can make good choices with our heart and mind that will help us lead in this right path. So when we
That's exactly this. Emotion,
Right.
wise mind is a combination of emotion and reasonable mind, our hearts and logic.
Exactly. So when we have a map, when we have a guide of what we're aiming for, then we're able to use our heart and mind to guide us there. So for example, when we know what the right thing to do is, then we could use our heart to motivate us, to engage us, to inspire us. But if we only did what our heart wanted, it wouldn't really accomplish much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it would be very hard. Right? I mean, I have an example here. So like, what if you want to buy a new home? Ask rhetorically, should that be decided in reasonable mind? Since you need to consider number of bedrooms, bathrooms, cost of house or school district, how do you decide whom? Oh wait, hold on. So like, would you be purchasing a home in reasonable mind? Or it's important to reason, emotion, and then wise mind, right? Not just looking at how many bedrooms or whatever is important, but also like, how do you feel when you're in the environment? Because that's the emotion piece to it. Not just looking at, does it check off the box?
Right.
It's the things that you need, but also looking at how am I feeling about this? And taking them both into consideration and making a decision, really paying attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and whether you're making the right decision.
I think that's great.
Okay, Brenda, I would be interested in more resources to have. There are entire treatment centers devoted to it for borderline personality. Correct. Borderline personality and bipolar. Because those are the two diagnoses that are very all or nothing thinking, very black and white. So teaching them how to regulate moods and look at things from a different perspective, because there's no real medication that completely helps someone with borderline personality disorder or bipolar. So Marshall Linehan actually invented DBT for individuals with these diagnoses to help them live a better quality of life, which it works. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's shifting your entire mind frame, but it works.
Is that because they struggle more with self-talk?
They struggle with regulating emotions, regulating moods. There's a frequent shift in moods, also interpreting things in a certain way.
Basically, they have more triggers.
Risky behaviors, impulsivity. Yeah, there are a lot more triggers. So really teaching them all around ways to control the mind and lead a better quality of life, not engage in risky behaviors, and to help with also like relationships. Relationships are difficult sometimes as well. So DBT helps all around. And even someone who doesn't have borderline or bipolar, like DBT is useful for anyone, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's just that it sounds like some people really need to use it more often than others, like just to have like to basically function throughout the day, as opposed to maybe a typical person gets angry maybe once or twice a day, would have something that's frustrating to get stuck in traffic, or you order something and it doesn't come, or but it's not debilitating.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also, part of DBT is communication skills, how to ask what you want. What are the goals of the communication? Is it to get what you want? Is it to keep the relationship? Is it to keep a sense of self-respect? Like ways of communicating, and their personal effectiveness skills, distress tolerance, emotion regulation, mindfulness.
What I notice is that the tips, the acronyms give you permission and give you a space to be able to think about things first, so that you can ruminate over how you actually think and feel and what you're actually going to aim to do. And so it's the self-talk that it gives you an opportunity to speak to yourself first about what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you want to accomplish. So if someone makes you angry and you just punch them back, like you didn't think about that, and then you probably made a bigger mess than what you had to deal with before. But if you stop and you say, wow, I'm really angry, I'm going to go take a walk, I'm going to go smell some nice perfume or aromatherapy, I'm going to make a phone call, I'm going to go eat something, have a hot cup of tea, go take a walk around the block. All those opportunities can stimulate you to be able to think about things differently. And then you could, and help you to calm. And so it's first your self-talk, and then it's what you're going to say, because then you have to prove to yourself, like, okay, if I'm going to say it like that, they're probably going to respond like this. And do I want them to respond like that? Because what am I trying to get to? So you get to play it out all in your mind before it actually happens. And then you have a better success rate because you thought it through.
You should be careful, though, not to overthink things and not to judge your judging. That happens frequently when we're playing something in our head and taking the time to think about it. We sometimes can start judging our own judgments.
Okay, so it's not about that.
Of yourself and practicing mindfulness, right? This is what happened, and this is what I think about it, and this is how I'm going to react, right? Or you don't even need to react in the moment. Self-soothe, distract yourself, provide some distress tolerance skills, and then come back to the problem when you're not in emotion mind.
Right.
The goal is to get yourself to wise mind and out of emotion mind or out of reasonable mind.
I firmly agree. And it's so interesting how the Torah talks about this model.
This model is really based on like Buddhism, and there's a lot of spirituality to it. So I can see how it definitely, like, there's a lot of like religious references in DBT.
Right, and without being religious itself, which is really nice, because it can speak to anyone, whether they have a religion or don't have a religion. It's not a contingent on that. It's these are guiding principles that are universal in a way, and we get to take out of it the parts that speak to us in a way, and even the parts that are maybe a little bit more spiritual or more religious, like the prayer. It doesn't tell you what to pray or how to pray or to who to pray. It just says, think about a greater being. So that gives permission and makes room for people of all faiths or no faith to be able to have a space and say, you know what, even if I don't subscribe to a specific religion or religious thought, I could still think about the universe as me being part of something greater than just myself. So I think that's really beautiful that it gives room for religion or not religion in this program.
Yeah, that's what therapy is all about, universalism.
Absolutely. We're so lucky that we live in a time where we have the opportunity to work on ourselves and to be, thinking about self-growth and to improve ourselves as human beings. Our grandparents or great grandparents were just so busy working to make a living, they didn't have time to think. and to think about how to make themselves better, you know, and we live in such a world where it's a gift to be able to have the time and space to be able, and the knowledge, to be able to say, you know what, I was born imperfect, but I have the power to be able to learn and improve myself. This notion of self-improvement and learning to grow is, we're very lucky.
Well said.
This has been wonderful, and I'm very grateful to you, Jackie, for being the expert that you are in this field. And we will send the slideshow to anyone who has requested it or will request it, or the link to this webinar if anybody would like to watch it another time. If anybody would like to find Jackie, could you tell people how to find you if they would like to stay in touch with you?
Sure. My phone.
You want to give out your number or your email, or people can just find you on Facebook, or what do you?
Yeah, no, I can give you my phone number. I'm going to put my phone number into the group chat, and if anyone would like to reach out to me, feel free.
Awesome. Jackie, you're studying, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are? Like what are your qualifications right now?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work at a private practice. I have experience with working with community clinics, individuals with all different diagnoses, different ages, children, adults, adolescents. I use different treatment modalities, mostly DBT, but I also incorporate cognitive behavioral therapy, which is very Freudian based and goes back to childhood. Sort of the concept of CBT is like looking at what happened in your childhood that has affected who you are today, versus DBT, which is skills. And yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. We're very grateful to have you, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, everyone, and
thank
you for taking the time to join. And
thank you everyone who was able to join, and stay tuned for more upcoming webinars in the next few months. We'll post it or keep everyone updated. So we appreciate everyone's time today, and thank you again, Jackie.
Of course. Thank you, Mishki.
All right, take care, everybody. Shana Tova, and all the best to everybody.